Hello, I'm Jody Wolf. You're watching Expoz on April 25, 2017 at 10:46 p.m. Birmingham. And topic, I know you've all seen this flashing across your YouTube and so forth. The white gold they talk about. It's going to make oil obsolete. It's going to break OPEC. And it's an investment of the lifetime. You cannot afford not to invest in it, because you'll make so much money. Hogwash. Forget that investment. Let me tell you a few things about what may be a good investment and what may not be a good investment. But let me tell you first the things that we already have that you can't have. So this white gold they talk about will disseminate or decimate OPEC. Their oil, there'll be no need for them to pump oil out of the ground. And this is a crock, a total crock. Not so fast. Remember back when, I hope I wrote his name down, Stan Myers drove a car from California to New York on 21 gallons of water? Well, that can still be done. Now, this white gold they talk about can't be much cheaper than water, would you think? But yet, Stan Myers, he had three offers. He really had more than that. But the final three offers was $100 million, $200 million, and then $500 million. And he refused $500 million. And the next day, he had a ritual. He had a habit. He had a very systematic way of doing things. Walking from his house to the little huddle house down the street and buying pancakes every day for breakfast. Well, nothing changed. He continued to do that. Except one day he walked down after rejecting the $500 million for what he had created, invented, turning water into fuel through two kinds of hydrogen, one that burns like fuel and one that burns a bit slower, not as volatile. They killed him for it. And it's called a HHO generator. Well, let's go on. I'm going to tell you a lot of things. There is a cure for cancer. Royal Rife proved that, but you can't have it. There's another cure for cancer. This gentleman in opposite Washington State in Canada found a simple acid, DCA. Simple, very inexpensive. His original blog, well, I say blog, is a news story with Glenn Beck on CNN, because I tried to capture and download exactly what he said. And then after Glenn Beck made some noise about that, they threatened him. First time he told Glenn Beck everything he tested it on, it worked. It killed every forms of cancer he tested it on. But then when you go back and look at it today, and Glenn Beck asked him the same question, well, what all does it cure? He said, well, it's not really been tested that well. Baloney! He's already said it has, and it has been. It is a cure, but you can't have it. And let's get into other things. So you have a cure for cancer, you have a cure for heart disease, but you think for a moment Rockefeller wants to give up that gravy train he's got of all the hundreds of millions to billions coming in? No, not about to. Cure for heart disease, but you can't have it. A tire that'll last you 200,000 miles. That's right, a single tire to run 200,000 miles, but you can't have it. A battery that'll last you the life of the car. And you guessed it, you cannot have it. Oil that won't break down under normal operating conditions. But you can't have that either. Fuel, at a minimum, 100 miles a gallon. At a bare minimum. But no, they're not going to de-jet your carburetor or your fuel injection because you can't have it. That's the easiest thing in the world to do, is increase your mileage. Look, I'm going to tell you a quick way. With fuel injection, you got a radiator, right? You got a radiator tank. Well, used to you had a tank. Now you don't have tanks like they did. They have a little cooler to the side, but back with an old tank, you could take a coil of copper, buy a copper line, a 1/4 inch, and wrap it around a broomstick tightly. Pull it off the broomstick and take the top tank off of the radiator and cut your 2 little neat holes and plant it in there so that when it flows through the radiator, it heats up to the point of where it's thinned out enough that you're getting almost fumes rather than straight fuel. Your car runs better on those fumes than it runs on the fuel because your car expels 60+% of the fuel. It does not burn out, and that's why the catalytic converter has to burn it up so it won't enter into the air. You can do that today, and it works today. That's the same principle as breaking down water to get HHO. You run the hot burning hydrogen into your air port, into the top breather of your car, put it in before you get to the electronics part of it. I can't even think of the name of it now. Let that inject in there, and it will read, like your oxygen sensor, it'll read the amount of fuel that's coming in opposed to what it needs to cut down. Does it need to cut down on air, or does it need to increase the flow on fuel? Well, it'll decrease the flow on fuel and increase the amount of air because there's a fuel coming in. That's hydrogen, and it's burning. I mean, it's that simple. So you got fuels, and you have another fuel. A teaspoon can power your home for over a year. A teaspoon of this white gold up here. Grass seed. Heat, cold, plant it, and it'll grow to the length of 2 inches and stop growing, virtually cutting off the need to cut your grass. Plus, you have a beautiful yard year-round. But they want you to know that? No, you can't have it. And a lawnmower with GPS on it. Yep, had it for a long time. Long time, back in 1986, first time I saw one. First year that when I was a pilot, I wasn't a pilot my first year, but at a pilot's party at Hangorn, South Birmingham, they drew my name and I won a handheld GPS, one of the first ones that came out. I mean, this thing weighed about 1.5 pounds, but it's a GPS. And it's big, it looks like a big cell phone. But at the same time, a guy attached one of these things to servos on the lawnmower, and he made one pass cutting his yard. Then he sat back and let the lawnmower cut his yard by itself because it followed that path using the GPS. Back then, it didn't need but 4 satellites. And now every time you hook up anything to satellites, you get 12 plus. Chemtrails, they're designed to hurt you. We don't know what all it does, but we know that it hurts us. And of course, they lie. Forest fires, many of these are started by the feds, believe it or not. Why? Tell me. And taxes, calculate this. Taxes on gasoline, which is 46 cents per gallon. Last time I really checked, 46 cents per gallon. And then you take the cigarette smokers at that time, the last time they had an increase. Keep in mind, cigarettes tax is about 90 cents a pack. And then booze. You always see that federal seal, that state seal. You can't buy booze in Florida and not pay state tax, and then come to Birmingham and sell it and charge state tax. You're breaking the law. But that tax on liquor, there's a federal tax in there that never comes off. So take those two, or those three, cigarettes, fuel, booze, and then take property tax. Only one more, just property tax. There's enough tax to run the entire federal government and its budget. Just those items, no more. Just those items. Forget your income tax. You don't need it. You've already paid that in. Forget your occupation tax. I mean, like if I work City of Birmingham, pay occupational tax. Well, I think they tried to stop it, or either they have stopped it. But that was 1%, which is stupid, because you had lived in any state or city, you had to pay to live there on top of everything else. And what would it do to have just a straight 10%? And I don't mean 10% federal income tax, state income tax, combine the two to have 10%, but 10% once. A better way to pay it would be to pay 10% income tax, or state and federal, however they wanted to break it down, say on a loaf of bread or a gallon of milk. Don't pay income tax. Forget those things. Just on what you purchase, a new car. And you have your federal income tax, your state income tax back in your pocket. Just 10% across the board. Or give 10% of what you earn to the government. No more. That'll powerhouse this country. With so much money left over, there could be a church on every other corner with a park and a playground beside it. And that would be in every city, every county, every state. They could build these churches by the thousands, by the tens of thousands, and have plenty of money to build your entire federal system. Subways, trains, free taxi, free tramways, free travel. Like if you're in Atlanta, the MARTA is free. Everything's free. Any means of travel is free. Your gasoline tax drops 46 cents a gallon. You don't pay any. But that they don't tell you about. What does that mean for us? That means our left, our government, everything that we thought we knew is a huge lie. We are already socialist, if you look at it that way. We're far below socialism, but we don't live like it. One day they'll live like it for a time, because when we have a church that's taken away, the rapture will not start the next day. And I'm going to tell you why. Coming up soon, Jody Wolf Expoz.